All right, everyone. Welcome to our very first annual Superhero Award Show. We have the Emmys, we have the Grammys, we have the Oscars. Welcome to the Supes. And I want to introduce my main man, Peter Triple G Comics. Peter, take it away.
Hi, everyone. How you doing?
I'm okay. About yourself, Peter?
Marvelous, mate. I'm really excited for this. I've never done a show like this before. I think it's quite unique, so I'm really excited to get stuck into this. I think it's a great idea. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's get going.
Yep. So, Efren, I have to say, when you started giving us some of the categories for this, I found it quite challenging because some of my comic reading is a little bit limited. So I reached out to one of my good friends over at the UK comic community, a guy called Ben Crampton from the Attention Seeking Geek, superb channel. Please check it out. So very pleased to see Ben tonight. What I would say, Efren, is Ben always comes dressed to impress. All right? He always likes to put a bit of effort in, more so perhaps than myself. How are you doing, Ben?
Cheers, gentlemen. Cheers.
Cheers. Nice to see you.
I've got to say, Efren, Peter, you've made me feel slightly overdressed. But this is an award ceremony, right?
Yes.
Very true. Very true. Looking very smart, Ben.
Thank you. I look like Leonardo DiCaprio if he shaved his head and didn't get any work for 5 years.
Tremendous. So, Efren, what's this all about then?
So, I was talking with, Peter Triple G, and, we've been doing these videos now for about 2 or 3 months, I'm assuming, right? Up somewhere around there. And I said, let's end the year, on a high note as much as possible. And we started just going back and forth. What do you want to do? Just do like a normal video. But I go, why don't we do an award show? And it went from there. We started communicating. And then Peter just said, hey, do you mind if I bring on Ben? I go, yeah, of course. The more the merrier. And that's where it started. And that's it.
Super.
Like a charity.
Not at all, Ben. Not at all. So, I'm in control of the IT tonight, so you're going to have to give me a nod when you want us to move on.
Good luck.
We've got a bit of a PowerPoint presentation type thingy, so I'll just get that up on screen. There we are. So, where do you want to start, Efren? Shall we just start straight on with the categories?
Yeah, let's do the first category, of course. Yep, I'll start off. Sorry, I should have said this before there, sorry. Just to say that we're going to vote. So this is our choices. The way Efren's organised this is that each of us submitted some suggestions for books that we think are the best this year, or different categories, best hero, best superhero team, all that kind of stuff. But these are just very much our ideas. So this is not to take away from anybody else's favourite characters or storylines. And what we want people to do is vote. So there's going to be an ability to link and vote in this video. And then also, if you go to any of the Instagram channels mentioned on screen there, you can vote for your favourite. And then in a month's time, we'll come back and we'll do a People's Choice Award, and we'll appoint the winners from the categories. So I'm right in saying, Efren, that this video is very much the nominees that we've pulled together. Yes. We're hoping people will vote on them, yeah? Correct.
Yeah, and just to be clear, for the comic book creators that win, the prize is nothing. You get absolutely nothing for this.
You get the respect of your peers, Ben. Surely that's enough.
I guess so. Yeah, thanks.
Right, so Efren.
Okay, so the first one is Best Publisher of the Year. So the picks are Image Comics, Aftershock Comics, Boom Studios, and Marvel.
Tremendous. It's interesting, isn't it? We were talking a little while ago about how I think if we'd done this video a few years back, it would have been predominantly Marvel and DC on there. But I don't know about you guys. A lot of my favorite reads at the moment come from studios like Aftershock and Boom. I made a few notes of some of the stories I'm reading at the moment, like Once in Future, Something That's Killing the Children, We Only Find Them When They're Dead, all of which are from Boom Studios. So I think that's a studio that's really kind of taken off over the last couple of years.
I agree. For Image, I mean, these books have just, for me this year, these books have been Stray Dogs, Homesick Pilot, Philadelphia, Radiant Black, Geiger, just to name a few.
Ben, have you read Philadelphia?
I have not, no. But I have heard very good things.
Efren recommended that a while for us, and I absolutely love it. Because you like your horror, Ben, don't you?
Yeah,
I do like my horror, yeah, and I love my slashers and stuff. I think I can't. Is it Aftershock or I can't remember the studio that did the the Killer in New York thing this year. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. But you know what, guys? For me, this is a really interesting and hard category because, as you will see throughout the course of this show, I am a bit of a Marvelite. I'm a bit of a, I'll defend it till I'm blue in the face, but it's getting harder and harder to do. And DC as well. I'm a massive Batman fan, and DC had really dropped the ball for me this year. I think the Future State event, flopped. I don't think it was very good. Yeah. So rightly so, I don't think they are up there. And you've just listed some of the few kind of titles for Boom Studios and Image and Aftershock and stuff. And I have converted a lot this year into the world of indies, and it's because of some of the great titles these are pushing out. But for me, I'm probably going to actually go with Boom Studios for this because as well as the kind of the brand new titles that bring into the game, they're also got some properties like Power Rangers and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really great. You're kind of entering a whole new world of kind of fan base there. So I'm going to say Boom Studios, I think, have really grown at a kind of an amazing rate this year in terms of popularity and success. So, yeah.
It's interesting you're saying that, Ben, about DC. I have to confess, other than some of the DC Black Label stuff, like Nice House by the Lake and all that kind of stuff, I don't think I've read a DC superhero book for years. Probably it's the same with Marvel, other than the event books,
Yeah, I think Marvel has a lot more to celebrate. I think DC, you really have to dig deep to kind of find the gems that are going on. I mean, there's things like Ram V's working on Swamp Thing and stuff. That's some good work. But for me, as a kind of Batman boy, like, oh wait, that sounds weird. Now I'm going to commit. I'm a Batman boy. I've just really struggled more and more, and the artwork's been beautiful, but it's a lot of things just fell flat, like Miracle Molly and stuff.
Yeah, and you were really excited for that character, weren't you?
Yeah, I've got all the variants. Cheers.
I think I chose Marvel because since I was a child, I read Marvel, and I still read most of their books. So Marvel was there because it's always going to be in my heart. But these other companies are just so good now.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned Aftershock there. They do We Live, I think, which I know you're a big fan of.
Yeah.
Efren. Has anybody picked up Chicken Devil yet?
No.
No, but it looked very kind of Breaking Bad, and that raised an eyebrow. So I'm interested.
Yeah. I mean, it's tremendous. It really is an entertaining read. That and the first issue of a book called The Heathens came out. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. Again, I don't know if you've heard of that one. That's basically, I think it's God or someone is going through time and picking out really bad characters to go and hunt other characters from history. So like they're hunting Jack the Ripper and things like that.
Wow.
It's really interesting read. It's very good.
I'm going to be in issue 6 of that, by the way. He picks.
Oh, yeah. Tremendous. So some interesting categories there, Efren.
Yeah.
So we're wanting the great general public to pick one of those 4. So as we said at the start, it's over to you guys. Pick someone from that and stick a vote in. It'll be interesting to see what comes from that.
Curious to see who's going to win.
Yeah, I do think you're right. I think there's a lot of people who stuck with Marvel for a long, long time because, they used to be very much top of the shop, didn't they?
Yep.
I'm just not sure that's the same these days.
I'll be shocked if they vote Marvel.
Yeah. Excellent. So.
Yep. Peter, you're up.
You want me to do this one, yeah?
Yeah.
So, next category we've got is Best Superhero Group. And the nominees are the team from the Seven Secrets, the Justice League, the Avengers. I haven't got a clue. Who's that in the top? Is that
and the Thunderbolts, Peter?
that's not
Thunderbolts.
is that the Thunderbolts?
Yeah.
Yes, the brand new Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Kingpin's
Yes, indeed.
Thunderbolts.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, interesting. So my pick for the best superhero group was the Seven Secrets team. I don't know if anybody's read that series. It's absolutely brilliant. I got into it after a recommendation from a UK channel called Scott's Shelf. Basically, it's about 7 briefcases, all of which have got a special kind of power or something within them. And this team have been assembled for hundreds and hundreds of years to defend these briefcases and the secrets. It's a brilliant read, really enjoyable. I picked up the first few issues and was absolutely hooked. So Seven Secrets was my pick. Ben, I'm going to assume you've picked Thunderbolts.
Yes, indeed. So this is the new Thunderbolts team from the King in Black. I think it was 4 issues. So it was wrote by Matthew Rosenberg and Juan Ferreira on art. I murdered that. Apologies. Had a small stroke. But so, like, basically, what's so great about this is that the seeds are kind of placed a little bit for what's going to be happening in the new Dark Reign storyline, where Kingpin is mayor, and he's got other aspirations going on, and he's kind of manipulating the political system, and part of that process is making like a team that works under his jurisdiction, so to speak. And this whole run was just ridiculous in the best kind of way. It was so silly. All of the characters are so kind of expendable. And as a result, you kind of don't really know what's going on in every issue, what's going to happen. Like, you know, you're kind of thrown for 6 every other page. And everything that's kind of going on is in the background of King in Black. You know, it's like you've got the key story of King in Black, and this has kind of been going on in the background. Is it a massive rip-off of Suicide Squad? Yes, absolutely.
Like, it sounds it when you were talking there.
100%. I mean, Kingpin basically is Amanda Waller, and this is his Suicide Squad, but it does it in such a great way, and it was a great opportunity to kind of bring forward characters, you know, those kind of B-list characters like Batroc the Leaper and my boy Rhino, you know, and then there were characters that were brought in that not even I, a Marvel aficionado, had heard of, and I kind of fell in love with them throughout the course of the 4 issues. So that is why I picked Thunderbolts.
So I have to ask Ben. I don't think I recognize any of those characters. Is that Wolverine's son, Draken, on the bottom?
No. So I think that's Rhino top left, Batroc, what's her name, Star something, and then the other characters were characters again that at the beginning of the story I hadn't really known, and I kind of got to know them throughout the issue. He's really strange, that one top right. I really loved him by the end of it. But it's just worth checking out. No, it's not Purple Man.
Interesting.
But he is closely linked to Kingpin at the moment. Everyone pick up Dark Reign because I think it's going to be great.
Tremendous. Efren, did you go for Justice League?
I went for Justice League because I like the way they incorporated characters you wouldn't think that would be on there. On this cover, Naomi, I mean, for the younger audience, they put her in there, and Black Adam, you would never think he'd be in the Justice League. And there's another character that they also, that's part of the group now that you don't see there, is Wonder Woman's mom, Hippolyta, if I'm pronouncing her name right.
Come in.
Yeah.
We'll go.
Yeah, her mom's in the Justice League also. So I just like the way they're adding characters that you normally wouldn't think they would add. That's why I picked Justice League. And of course, you know, I chose the Avengers because they're the Avengers and they're like one of my favorite groups. I like that they picked Robbie Reyes from Ghost Rider. And
that one with the car, Efren?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And also they picked up who's Slade? Is that his name?
Blade.
Sorry, I was thinking Blade's on the Avengers too. and just characters that you normally wouldn't think would be Avengers. And that's why I picked these two groups.
See, I used to love Avengers, but I haven't read it for such a long time. I feel like I've missed too much.
I've struggled a bit recently, but there was some really cool stuff with the Avengers 10,000 BC. I really enjoyed that stuff. I don't know if that was the back end of last year or this year. And they also did a whole kind of competition for the Phoenix Force, which was good fun. It wasn't too intense. It was just kind of a fun side plot. So
excellent, some good picks there, then, guys. So again, please, people at home, vote and let me know who your winner will be. If we'll move
vote
on.
Thunderbolts. Vote Thunderbolts.
Ben, you're up.
Oh, okay. So now we have best storyline. So the nominees are, I've always wanted to say that. We've got Once and Future by Dan Mora, Kieran Gillen, Boom Studios. We've got Shadecraft there. We've got the Daredevil ongoing kind of Chip Zdarsky story. We've also got Aftershocks We Live. So Ephraim, which picks are yours here?
My picks is my man Daredevil. I just love this storyline. I mean, I was talking to Peter in past videos. Excuse me. His inner strength that this man has. He's able to fight off Null. I think he was one of the few characters that was not nullified. Just his faith, his inner strength. And Captain America couldn't fight him off. And Captain America had doubts about himself afterwards, but Daredevil was strong enough to fight off Null. And just he's in jail for manslaughter. And, he said, no, I did it. I'm guilty. And he's in jail now, but, he's not revealing who he is, but everybody's after him. And Elektra took his place as Daredevil and Hell's Kitchen. I mean, he was just against, Matt Murdock and his beliefs and everything like that, but she was just so taken by what he did. So she decided to take up the mantle of Daredevil, which has been part of the great storyline. And I picked up We Live from the Miranda Brothers. I love this story. Just the whole premise of it. It is always the end of the earth, but the artwork, obviously the writing, and they added music to this video too. You put your camera on like they had those little I forgot what they're called, but you can put what are they called when they have like the little square with all the lines in it? You just put your camera on it, and it took you to YouTube, I believe, and then there's music behind each story.
I like a barcode thing.
Barcode, thank you. I couldn't think of that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's why those two I chose.
Nice. I've got to say I'm with you 100% on Daredevil, and if anything, that was probably a very close kind of pick for me at the top, because this Chip Zdarsky run has been absolutely maybe one of the best things Marvel are kind of putting out at the moment. Like, it's just so compelling, the idea of him kind of admitting to the crime, facing the sentence. Yep. You've got Elektra outside. Elektra's got like a protege, which is introduced a really interesting kind of dynamic with her character, because she's not usually that kind of nurturing sort of person. Kingpin has this lovely complex relationship with Typhoid Mary developing. We get the return of Bullseye. It's just been non-stop, like page turner. You're itching for the next issue when it comes out. So I couldn't recommend a Marvel book more than Daredevil.
Bullseye is one crazy character. Glad you mentioned that, Ben. What they did to him, the cloning, I was like,
it was crazy.
What? It was crazy. I went, oh my God, they really took him over the line, over the top. I was like, wow.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Peter, is yours this Once and Future business? You are Therian addict.
Yeah. But just before we get into that, I have to say I've not picked up Daredevil, but he's sold us on it. So it sounds very interesting. I'll probably pick that up. Is it out in trade paperback yet, the storyline, or is it?
I'm not sure.
The first part of it probably will be at this point.
I will pick that up and have a read. So I've picked Once and Future by Boom Studios. This is a storyline about basically Arthurian legends, and any kind of legend. If people believe in it, it comes into reality. It comes into actuality, as it were. And it starts off basically with this incredible character who we'll go on to in a bit, I suppose. A little old lady who's basically been a monster hunter for all of her life. And she's basically kind of handing the mantle over to her grandson, who knows nothing about this. And it's just absolutely amazing. If you like Arthurian legend, which I do, if you like all that kind of stuff, it's brilliant. It turns it on its head. They bring King Arthur back, I think, very early on in the issues. And spoilers for anybody that's not read it. There's this huge twist where I just assumed we're going to get a story about Arthur saving the country and all the rest of it. And he's basically a undead, massive racist, and goes out and tries to basically obliterate the country. And it's just brilliant. It's got swords, magic, sorcery, all that kind of jazz. Everything I want in a comic book. So it's a brilliant read, and I highly recommend it.
Great choice. I think it's an awesome book. Any Arthurian, if I'm pronouncing it right, those types of books, I'm there with you also, Peter. And remember when we first talked, we mentioned Camelot 3000.
Yeah.
And that's an awesome book. And that's, had to do with King Arthur, but that's a different book. But I just wanted to mention that too, but Once in the Future is a great pick.
Out of interest, Ben, have you read Camelot 3000?
No, it's all a bit Dungeons and Dragons for me, this sort of stuff. Like, it's. I get it. I get why people love it, but I just.
Ben, did you just call us a nerd very subtly?
Swords.
How dare you?
Yeah, if the sword is like a lightsaber, then maybe we can talk. But yeah. Okay, so my pick is Shadecraft, which is written by Joe Henderson, and the art from Lee Garbett. Genuinely, you could pick up any one of these 5 issues and it is absolute perfection. And I know that's a big word to throw out, but I'm gonna throw it out there. I feel like it's comic books at their best. Like the artwork from Lee Garbett is just so kind of crisp and full of character, and like the visuals are really kind of original and quite mesmerizing, to be honest, in places. And then Henderson's sort of work on like the lead character, whose name is Zadie Lou. She's really flawed, but like lovable from the off. And they kind of have this unorthodox family dynamic going on, which is just brilliant. It's just, I honestly can't celebrate something enough. Like I am chomping at the bit for the next volume of this. So I vote Shadecraft.
Nice.
Have you guys read it yet?
Nope, but I am now.
You will now. There you go.
I'm writing it down.
Car salesman.
I have to say, Ben, I've never even heard of it.
Are you kidding?
No, I think that one must have just totally missed me.
So we reviewed it back in my Killer Comics days, and we all had buckets underneath us because we were gushing that much. It was
wow.
It's great.
Well, I'll have to hunt that one out and watch that one as well.
Yeah.
Tremendous. So, Ephraim, back to you.
Next up, we have Best Artist, and the nominees are. On the left is Marvel, Alex Ross. Right below him is Stanley Lau, and then David Nakayama, and last but not least, Scotty Young. So this was a hard pick for me. I mean, I picked Stanley Lau because I love his artwork. I've always loved his artwork for years now, and his rendition here of Mystique, I was like, I bought this book. I was like, wow, I just love this cover. And then I also chose Scotty Young because, I mean, his drawings of kids, Marvel superhero kids, I was like, every time I see a Scotty Young book, if it's new, I buy it. I wish he would do DC books or other, publishing books too. I'm not sure why he does. Because I know he does other books for other publishers, but I've never seen him do a DC book.
No, I can't think of any examples actually of that.
Yeah.
I was never particularly drawn to his covers, I have to be honest. But then I read the full series of I Hate Fairyland, and I just absolutely love that. I mean, that is proper Dungeons and Dragons, Ben. I don't know if you've read that, but I just loved every page of that, and the artwork is just exquisite. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time people overlook Scotty because his style is so kind of identified with being the children version of characters. But when you see him work on just general stuff, like it's always really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a good pick. That Stanley Lau is also known as Art Germ, right?
Art Germ, yes.
Yes, yeah. I thought I was going mad.
Yeah.
That Mystique cover is iconic. Like, it's just superb. Really, really cool. That's a good pick there. I picked David Nakayama. And again, back in my Killer Comics days, I was lucky enough to interview David, and he is as humble as he is talented. Really, really nice guy. For me, I just think his work is so bold and like smooth and defined and full of character and full of life. And he's basically this year, sort of strangely, whether he meant to or not, sort of cemented this his own kind of, like Scotty Young with the kid variants, his own kind of style is this color bleed kind of negative space thing. So he's got like Rogue, Mystique, Emma Frost, Scarlet Witch for Strange Academy. He's done a number of them. Really, really cool stuff. So as well as his work in comics as well, he's also provided key art for the side of Marvel Legends packaging for some of those. And then does work for some of the Marvel games, and I think he's got the cover of a DC Winter Special book thing at the moment, and he's done like DC cereal box covers, which are really fun, like a series of those. So yeah, I just think his work is really fun, and it's really it's immediately identifiable as his work as well. When we spoke to him, he said that he was inspired a lot by like J. Scott Campbell and Jim Lee, and I think that really comes across.
I mean, they're all great picks, guys, and I have to say the images on screen are stunning, but none of them are a patch on Alex Ross. I mean, let's be honest, Alex Ross is a god. Alex Ross makes me buy books I hate. Do you know what I mean? If it's got an Alex Ross cover on it, I'll pick it up. And I know Ben's got a copy of this. I don't know if you have, Ephraim, but he did a poster book this year, which, I mean, it's just absolutely breathtaking. For me, Alex Ross is one of the only artists that I think is immediately recognizable in terms of his character design and the cleanness of his covers. I just think he's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And we've been spoilt, I think, by him this year because he's done a hell of a lot of covers, particularly his run on the Immortal Hulk. Is so good, breathtaking, you know. So I'm afraid I've won this category, guys. I'm sure the people out there are going to vote Alex Ross. So guys, so for me, Alex Ross.
Bear with me for a second. I'm going to show you this picture.
Is he going to flex? He's flexing, isn't he? He's flexing.
If you've got a sketch by Alex Ross, I'm going to kick off because I would kill for a sketch by Alex Ross.
Oh, we didn't have this plan, but you mentioned Alex Ross. If you want to focus on me for a second here, I got this one of Wonder Woman.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
And it's done by Linda Carter.
Is that signed by Linda Carter?
Yes. Right there. Love always Linda Carter. I had to throw that in there, guys.
Very smart. Very cool.
Sorry, Peter.
I got to say though, Pete, I'm going to find it hard to disagree with you on this one. Yeah. I mean, he really is one of the future icons, I think, of our industry and our industry, like I work in comics. I just bloody read them. But yeah, like, I mean, the postal card actually got 3 of the pages ripped out and put in frames on my wall. And genuinely had a conversation with my wife and she nearly let me have them downstairs. And I think that's a true sign of how amazing Alex Ross is, because his work is like art, you know,
I think I'm going to be voting for Alex Ross.
Vote Alex Ross, guys. Forget our nominations.
Yeah, forget ours. You can take ours off.
Well, we're seeing that, but that Mystique as well is absolutely breathtaking, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it really is breathtaking. Excellent. Brilliant. So Moving on. Back to me for Best Writer. And the nominees are Scotty Young for the Me You Love in the Dark. We've got We Live. Sorry, who's the writer on We Live? I should have done me prep for this. Who's the writer on We Live?
Tony Fleeks.
Tony Fleeks.
No, that's Stray Dogs is Tony Fleeks.
Oh.
But We Live is Roy and Inaki Miranda. The Miranda brothers.
We'll edit this bit. So we've got We Live, the Miranda brothers.
No, we won't.
We've got Stray Dogs. Who writes that?
Tony Fleece and Trish Forster.
We've got Stray Dogs by Tony Fleece, and we've got very professional, and we've got Sink by John Lee. So I picked Sink. Well, I guess I picked all of John Lee's books this year. So I went to a convention in the UK called Thought Bubble a little while ago, and met John Lee and picked up about 5 of his trade paperbacks. So I picked up Sink, I picked up Mountainhead, I've picked up Hotel and a few others. And I have to say, I've not been able to put them down. I've literally blasted through each book without a break. Hotel is superb. Mountainhead was absolutely brilliant. I'm currently reading Sink. All of his books are horror-based. He's also recently just released Hotel Series 2, and he's also released a book which I've recommended to a few people called Red Cage. Now, I'm not a wrestler. I'm not into wrestling at all. And this book's all about wrestling with a horror twist to it, and I was absolutely hooked. I loved every page of it. He's a master, I think, particularly within the Hotel series, of producing a 5-book series where there's little things in the background of each comic that you don't necessarily notice on first read through. So something will happen in the background of a main character talking or something, and then by the end of the series, it's all linking back to those individuals. And when you go back and reread it, there's a narrative all the way through that I completely missed on first read. I think he's a phenomenal writer. So yeah, so he's my pick, John Lee. So Ben, who did you pick?
I definitely need to check out the wrestling book by John Lee as well. That sounds right up my street. So my pick was Scotty Young, I believe. So a bit of a combination, really, for me, between the Me You Love in the Dark and his mainly, I think, his work on Strange Academy, which earlier I said Daredevil's probably my favourite Marvel read, and I think Strange Academy is a very, very close second. It's one of my favourite series of all time is the Jason Aaron run, Wolverine and the X-Men, which was like a focus back on school and the kids, and all the kids have weird mutations. It's just I love it. This is very, very similar. And at first I was put off. I was like, oh, it's just going to be a rip-off and things. But Scotty Young has done such an incredible job at introducing brand new characters. And they all kind of have links. Like you've got Dormammu's son there. And, this character's linked to that character. And, so they're all kind of familiar, but they are brand new. And within 3 issues, you're already in love with this group of students, and I think that's a real testament to his writing. Obviously everyone knows him for his artwork, as we've just spoke about, but I actually think he's really carving out a good name for himself as a writer as well. Now, the Me You Love in the Dark, I'll be honest, I think I was expecting slightly more towards the end. I kind of wanted an extra twist or something a little bit something to happen that I wasn't expecting. That didn't necessarily happen, but in terms of the journey, like, he did such a great job at kind of creating suspense and also kind of writing romance as well. Yeah. Like, it's actually a very romantic book, and a really kind of great character study. And that's not easy to do as a writer, especially when you're probably so new to it as Scotty is. So my vote is Scotty Young.
I have to say, I've read The Me You Love in the Dark, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I hear what you're saying, and I don't know. I read it monthly, so I do want to go back and read it as a one-off.
Yeah, me too.
I felt it started to slow down in the middle a little.
Yeah, I don't know what I wanted. I don't know what I wanted, but I just feel like I wanted more.
That said, I think the last issue was really good. It was, I mean, well, I'll spoil it for people. So if you haven't read it, switch away. But that image of our friend kind of ripped to shreds and all that, it's brilliant. Have you read it, Efren?
I've read it. Great storyline. I mean, great story book and everything. The artwork, the way he drew the spirit or the ghost, you know, I just think it's a good story. I mean, I read it. Yes. Very good.
So your picks, and Efren.
So one that I picked was Stray Dogs. When I seen this book that, you know, when you buy books in advanced order, you know, you buy them like 2 or 3 months in advance. I seen Stray Dogs. The minute I seen it, I go, this book's going to be good. You know, the artwork, you know, from Silence of the Lambs, this cover. Actually, I interviewed Tony Fleece like about 3 books in. And I just thought, I mean, I have 2 dogs, and just the way he did the mannerisms of the dogs, that they knew something was wrong. I'm going to spoil the book. It has to do with a serial killer, basically, who kills his victims and takes their dogs. And dogs have short-term memories, but this one little dog remembered, and it goes from there.
Right.
And they're trying to escape. And when the dogs talk to each other, you know, we can see their words, but when the human hears it, all he hears is barking.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just goes from there. It was a 5-issue series, and I thought it was a great book. And the other one that I chose was We Live by the Miranda brothers. I mentioned this earlier. It's the end of the world. A brother and a sister. The oldest sister is trying to save her brother from there's mutations in the world and just bad people, and they have to go through a journey to be rescued. The brother, they only it's like aliens said, you only can pick certain kids, only a limited amount, and it's a journey from there. And there's going to be We Live. It's going to start up again, I think, in March, because it jumps like about 7 years after the ending of the book. That what happens to the little boy, they become superheroes, and that's where the journey continues.
Nice.
Tremendous.
I couldn't think of anything worse than being at the end of the world with my sister, personally.
Harsh, Ben, harsh. I've got a couple of sets of the Stray Dogs books. Those horror covers are absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. But now there's so many of them. I've got the original set of 5, but I've not gone down the rabbit hole of getting all of the new ones that seem to be coming out. I know, Efren, you've tried to keep away from variant covers. Have you succeeded?
I love variants, but sometimes I just think it's overkill.
Yeah.
You know,
I honestly think there should be a limit. Like I
agree.
The comic book industry should say you're allowed 3 variants per comic. That's it. What you do with those variants is up to you. But
because it starts to get a bit silly, doesn't it?
It does.
Was it Justice League of America 1 or something, and there was a different cover with a different flag or something on every
from every state? Yes.
Yeah. So that's your selections for best writer. Please remember to vote. And moving on, Ben, you're up.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the time of the award ceremony where everybody goes to the toilet. No, where we cover the Lifetime Achievement Award. So this wasn't my idea initially. Efren came to Peter and I with the idea of the creator in question, and I couldn't have thought of anyone better, especially with recent announcements. So the Lifetime Achievement Award goes to George Perez. Yes, there he is, the legend in question. So he has a career spanning across 4 decades, and he's one of the few living legends left in the business now. His 40 years in the industry has seen him draw for Marvel and DC, creating iconic work for nearly all of the major characters. His style kind of echoes the work of Jack Kirby and the early rules that Marvel put in place. But then what George Perez did is he kind of added layers upon layers of like detail instead. But his work, even though it's kind of highly detailed, it's just, I would just really recommend people check out maybe his line work without color, because I think that really, really does speak for itself. So his first comic book works was in 1974 when he was at the tender age of 20. Remember being 20, Peter? No, of course you don't. Even the early days, he was creating.
I remember the 20s. Sorry, I remember the 20s, Ben, if that's what you mean.
yeah, that's what I meant. Go back to sleep. Even in the early days, he was creating brilliance with the co-created White Tiger in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, and then got pretty much a quick kind of promotion up to the Avengers. Avengers stories like the Korvac saga is now synonymous with his name. Of course, in time, we'd eventually get his work for both sides of the fence colliding in Justice League America / Avengers. It's worth pointing out, too, that his genius for character design has always been there. So you've got Taskmaster to Deathstroke, Disco Nightwing, if anyone remembers that, to Wonder Man. In the late 70s, early 80s, he worked on Justice League of America for DC. And this is actually one of the rare times around that time an artist kind of worked in both camps, so to speak. So it was pretty amazing, really. And again, testament to his work. Transition then to revamp New Teen Titans came. And he also worked on Crisis on Infinity Earth. He had a small writing stint as well, people might not realise, where he both drew and penciled a Wonder Woman relaunch. His eye for crowded scenes, there you go, a perfect example here, was a great match for the Marvel Infinity Gauntlet saga and that iconic cover with Thanos there. So moving on now into the late 90s, his return to the Avengers then came alongside Kurt Busiek with the iconic Heroes Return cover, which is, again, the one that you see here, which is packed to the brim of characters. And shout out, because Sandman's in the Avengers, if you see that, and that makes me really happy. As mentioned, the Justice League America Avengers crossover thing then happened as well, and will become just one example of the work that will forever stand the test of time. Sadly, George has recently announced that he has stage 3 cancer and likely has about 6 months to a year left with us. So this is kind of a small one tribute of many tributes by fans who George has basically always kind of welcomed with open arms and an open heart. So thank you, George Perez.
Well done.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Yep.
I mean, George Perez for me is one of those artists that, you know, when, like you said, Ben, when you see his work, you immediately recognize, I think, that it's him. And this cover that we've left up here, this was probably one of my favorite books back in the day by this particular creative team. Yeah, you know, that run was phenomenal. The artwork is phenomenal. The character designs are just absolutely tremendous. An incredible man, and obviously, like you say, we're all very, very sad to hear his recent news. But his work's going to live forever, I think. And you mentioned the Infinity Gauntlet. We'll show an image there in a second. But I guess one of the other things, Ben, is I do know that you actually had the pleasure of meeting the man himself at one point. You look a little bit different then, Ben.
Look at the state of me. Look at that hair.
What a good-looking guy.
I look like a Pidgeotto from Pokemon. It's not good. Right. Yeah. So this is a perfect example of George at conventions. You can see that I've not gone up to his desk or anything like that. He was simply walking the floor and meeting people, shaking hands, having photos with people. And George was always known to kind of do this at conventions. I used to see, because as a cosplayer, I think it's New York Comic Con or something like that. They used to do these big cosplay photo shoots outside, and George, year upon year, would always come out and have some photos taken as part of that big shoot. So yeah, I think that kind of says it all in terms of his attitude. I've heard stories of him even inviting people into his own home as well, and spending time with them, talking about his work and stuff like that, which is just lovely.
I think one of the things that I've met him a couple of times at conventions too, and he takes the time to talk to you, and he's like he's your best friend. You can just feel the warmth in him that he really likes talking to people, and he loves the interaction. You know, 2 times I met him, and he just stops and talks to you like, wow, you know, like where you been all my life. You know, great person, and I'm so glad we chose George Perez.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fantastic stories. I've sadly never had the pleasure of meeting them, but what I would say is that center image that we've got on there of Superman holding Mjolnir and Captain America's shield.
Yeah,
awesome.
That for me is a young man reading that book, because at the time, Superman, Captain America, and Thor were probably some of my favorite characters because of what they represent and the kind of the background they have. That for me just blew my mind, and I've never forgotten that particular series. I love it. I've got the single issues up on my wall. I've also got the Absolute Edition, hardback edition, and all the rest of it. It's just phenomenal. So I think, we'll all agree, massive character in the comic book community, incredible career, and hats off to him. And we're all very pleased to in some way acknowledge his hard work in this video. I think so. Thank you very much.
And sound off in the comments as well, guys, and let us know if you've ever met George, what your experiences are with him, or what you think of his work, and let's just show him some love while we have a chance.
Yes.
Tremendous. Thank you very much. So moving on, we're back to you, Efren, I think.
Okay. Best indie book, and the nominees are Stray Dogs, Maze Book, Philadelphia, and Something is Killing the Children. So we already spoke about Stray Dogs, mentioned that just a couple of minutes ago. Philadelphia is my other choice. I talked to Peter about this, and he bought the book with the trade back. Anything to do with vampires, I'm always there. And this premise of this book is based in Philadelphia, where they're overrun by vampires. But the very first evil vampires that they show are one president, I think the second president of the United States, John Adams. He's a vampire, and his wife, Abigail Adams, is a vampire too. And it goes from there. And it has the father. The main character is a policeman, and his father is a policeman too, but he's been turned into a vampire. But he still has some goodness in him, and it just goes from there. And they're just trying to save the city. I think it's a great read.
So I picked this up on your recommendation, Ephraim, and I like horror books anyway, but this completely hooked me. It's bonkers. Don't get us wrong. It's absolutely mental. Like you say, the main bad guy's the president of the United States turned into a vampire. Mental. But what I loved was the art, but I absolutely loved the relationship between the father and the son. Yeah. There's some real heart-wrenching dialogue and scenes in that. It's just a phenomenal series. I've just finished the second graphic novel, and it's ended on an incredible cliffhanger. And the next book's not out till I think it's next week or the week after. So I'm desperate to pick that one up. Great reading it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm yet to read Philadelphia, but Stray Dogs. I mean, Ephraim's covered a lot of it already, but it shouldn't have worked. You're mixing that cutesy Disney style kind of art and storytelling with a thriller slasher horror, genre. And yet it just marries up perfectly, and it's just brilliant. And it's kind of, would you say it's kind of dark humor a bit as well? Like I found myself laughing in little parts of it, but then other parts are heartbreaking.
Yes.
And it's just brilliant. So
it's been picked up, hasn't it? Has it been picked up by Robert Downey Jr.'s animation studio or something?
Yeah, and I guess it will be interesting to see how close they can kind of replicate that Disney-esque style without, Mickey Mouse coming on the phone being like, "Oh, hi, I'm going to sue you."
My pick was Maze Book. Have any of you read Maze Book?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. 3 or 4 issues in now. You might say it's a bit slow paced, but I'm enjoying that about it. It's just an absolutely heart-wrenching, very emotional story about a father who's lost a child. And I think if you're a parent reading the book, you can't help but read it as if you were that parent, and all he's going through, and the breakdown of his marriage, and the desperate need to find something of his daughter. And I'm really interested, because at this point in the story, we don't know if this is just all him in his mind desperately looking for something, or if it's actually going to turn out that his daughter really is alive and there's some other story to it. And I really don't know which way I want it to go. It's got us at such a point where if it is something else and his daughter's alive, I think that might cheapen it a bit. Whereas if his daughter's dead and it's all in his head, I'm going to be absolutely devastated and probably break my heart at the end of the book. So the writer has got it so perfect for me that I'm an emotional wreck when I read it, basically. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, great book. I've been reading it too. I'm curious. I can't wait to see how it ends. Like it's just, the father, you can feel it, just his pain.
Yeah.
From losing the child. That's horrible. And just, I've been reading this book. Good book.
I've not read it. I'm not going to lie. I read comics sometimes to escape.
Yeah.
The darkness and the stress of the world. Yeah. So I sometimes am hesitant to pick up books like this, but at the same time, it clearly has had an impact on the two of you, which is, it's good storytelling. So I'll check it out.
I think you're right, Ben.
Tissues in hand.
I would give people an advisor, I think, that this is not an easy book to read, particularly if you have had, issues in your life, if you've lost a child, anything like that. I think this is it really is a bit of a gut punch book. Well, I certainly found it quite emotional. So yeah, I think it's a great story.
And the last choice there is Something is Killing the Children, which I think us three and every single geek out there can agree is brilliant. I don't think I've come across one person who doesn't enjoy this. James Tynion writes in such a kind of fluid,
I've not read it, Ben.
Way. Are you kidding me?
Peter, you can leave.
Why did you invite this guy?
But I have got the hardback, and I've got 4 copies of issue 1.
Well, that's why I just presumed you've read it and loved it.
It's on
my list. Lied.
It's on my list.
Look, I'm looking forward to hearing what you think, and I actually joined late to the party as well. So I came in when it was on issue 10, I think, and I just smashed through 10 issues in space of an hour, a couple of hours or whatever, because it's such a kind of page turner, and it's graphic. It's very graphic. It's not for the faint-hearted. I think the artwork is kind of stylized, so it kind of gets away with it a bit. I know that you're a Buffy the Vampire fan, Peter, as well, and this is the next Buffy. Our lead character in this, you'll fall in love with her from the off. Again, that kind of great flawed character that you can't help but love for all of her imperfections. So highly recommend this.
I have to say I am looking forward to it. I tend to read more now in graphic novel format, where I've got a bit more of a complete story. So I have picked up the hardback copy of this, and I'm looking forward to reading it over Christmas. So I will let you know what I think.
I think this is my favorite category. The diversity of these 4 books. I mean, indie books have just been hitting out of the park for the last 5 years, more or less.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, who is it? Is it me or is it Ephraim?
You can go, Peter.
So, next category is Best Male Character. And our nominations are Daredevil, Immortal Hulk. I'm forgetting the guy's name from Once and Future. It's
Duncan.
Hey, I'm not doing well at this. I'm going to say Clown Killer.
For God's sake. Clown Hunter.
Clown Hunter? I was near.
Clown Killer is like the poor man's version.
The poor man's version.
Yeah.
So I've picked the Immortal Hulk. What I would say is, whilst I've always quite enjoyed the character of Hulk, he's never been a book I would necessarily rush to read. He's always been kind of an additional character for me, I guess. But this series, Immortal Hulk, has just been absolutely phenomenal. Superb artwork, cover-wise, as we've mentioned. The internal artwork is stunning as well. The body horror of his transformations. You know, I've never seen images of that before. You know, like the Hulk coming out of Bruce Banner's mouth and things like that. It's just been absolutely superb. The storyline's brilliant. I haven't finished the full 50-issue run yet. I've got the last 10 issues to read, I think it is. But it's really made me want to read more of the Hulk. I'm slightly concerned, I guess, because, like I say, I've got 10 issues to go. But I've seen images from the new Hulk series that's coming out, and it looks like they've gone in an interesting direction with him in like
it's a new direction, that's for sure. Yeah.
So I would hate to think we're losing this quality of the character, but we'll see. But yeah, so my pick is Immortal Hulk, because I just think it's been superb.
Yep.
Efren, what have you picked?
We'll go with Duncan first from Once and Future. The reason I picked this character was when he first started out in the series, he was like a little kid, just confused of what the heck was going on. He seemed very weak, and his grandmother, you know, who's the lead female character, took him, you know, by the scruff of his neck, basically, and just threw him into this chaos. Yeah. And, you know, towards the end, and as the series went on, he became more sure of himself, and he became like a real superhero, you know, taking the lead. And that's why I like his character, because he did like a 180.
Yeah.
You know, from just totally over his head, you didn't know what the heck was happening in this series, to becoming like a real lead character. My other character, go ahead.
So sorry, I was going to say, I read the series as we've already mentioned. Yeah. And you're right. I love the development of Duncan. I think that the nonchalant way he starts to take on some of the things that are happening around him, you know, like the beasts and the monsters and all that. I just love it. And I think the banter between him and his grandma is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous.
His grandma kicks ass. I love that character. My next one is, of course, Matt Murdock, Daredevil. You know, I've mentioned already what he's been through. He's been incarcerated. He fought off Null, and just his faith and his inner strength is always, you know, and I like these street level characters more. Because he doesn't have any superpowers besides his hearing, you know, and his senses that have been heightened because he's blind. And I just love this character.
Yeah. Ben, clown man boy chicken thing.
Unbelievable. The disrespect. Clown Hunter is the love of my life. This character has come onto the scene during the Joker Wars storyline with Batman, which, again, it was okay. I just kind of nothing shocked or surprised me about what happened. But one thing that did come out of it was Clown Hunter. So the story is, this is young Bayo, if I'm pronouncing that right, or Bayo, I think. He's an Asian American individual as well, which I think brings some much needed diversity to Gotham and the kind of characters that are there. But his parents are sadly kind of murdered by Joker and Harley back in the day in their restaurant, and he's a vengeance character. He's like a young Punisher, but with like no training whatsoever, and no equipment and no resources or anything like that. He's kind of fueled on a hate and an anger for the Joker and his kind of clown goons. The interesting thing now is that it's where do you kind of take that character moving forward. So what's been nice is there's been the odd scene with kind of Batman trying to kind of take him under his ring and tell him that, you know, murdering's not the answer and stuff. And there was even an amazing opportunity where he could have killed Harley, but she's now kind of become good, and he kind of he stopped, you know. So I really want him to kind of stick around the DC universe. But again, it's like with the title Clown Hunter, if there's no clowns, then what do you do with that character? So I think a change will be coming. But I think the character of Bayo and just his kind of, his kind of punk attitude, and even, the aesthetic is just, I love that kind of.
Speaking of the aesthetic, Ben. Sorry, I've not. I don't think I've seen this character before. I'm looking at your image there. Is that a batarang in his bat, or is it just?
Yes. So it's a bat with a batarang in, and then he's got like half a clown mask that he's like sprayed black, and the mohawk is like a brush from a broom. It's real like ragtag stuff.
Sounds like my attempt at cosplay.
But I just love it. Like he's like a little Sex Pistols cosplayer, and I'm living for it. So yeah, vote Bayer.
That's a great, unique choice, Ben. I've been reading it too, and Clown Hunter is a great choice. I like that a lot.
Tremendous. Efren, back to you then.
Okay. Best female character, and the nominees are, of course, Erica Slaughter from Something is Killing the Children in the upper left-hand side. Right below her is Bridget McGuire from Once and Future, the grandma we spoke about earlier. On the upper right-hand side is Daredevil, but this is portrayed by Elektra, who took the mantle of Daredevil. And last but not least is one of my favorite characters. And you chose this one is Kitty Pryde and her dragon. I love these pictures. I love this character. Those are the nominees. So we've spoken about Erica Slaughter already in Something's Killing the Children and Elektra. Why don't you guys speak about your two choices?
Yes, so I picked Kitty Pryde. Lockheed, unfortunately, you can't vote for Lockheed, even though we all would, because we love him. But so Kitty Pryde has kind of gone through, and this is one of the things I love about Kitty Pryde as a character. She's been through so many changes and such development from the naive, like not even, she was really young when she came into the X-Men, all the way up to the kind of Kitty Pryde we have now. And this new kind of stage of evolution for Kitty Pryde is one of kind of badass leadership. So she's basically now head of the Marauders, and they're almost functioning as like pirates around Krakoa. So they'll kind of go out on the ship to various kind of mutant incidents to try and kind of rescue people, bring them to Krakoa, or help with things that are going awry in the mutant business that's currently going on. And she's kind of sporting this new kind of Captain Hook style coat. She's even kind of got tattoos on her knuckles now, and she's just kind of got this real. There's a great moment in one of the first issues of this new Marauders run where she tries to get into Krakoa, and the doors close on her. Basically, the portal closes on her, and she breaks her nose. And it's really that kind of rejection, I think, that has fueled her recent change in attitude. But she's still very much kind of loyal to the cause, and I just find her so compelling and so interesting, and just so badass looking, like with the coat and stuff.
Ben, you may know the answer to this. Why wasn't she allowed on Krakoa? I never quite understood why she wasn't. She's a mutant, right?
She is, yes. Yeah. And I can't remember.
Me neither. I read it, but I don't. She can now.
She can now.
Yeah, I forgot why.
I don't know. I'm telling you though, from Krakoa, he's up to something. People forget that Krakoa, when it first came to X-Men, was a villain, was trying to eat them.
That's right.
He's. Yeah. I reckon there's something big's going to happen down the line.
Is she still with Colossus?
No.
They were going to get married and then they didn't. And don't. It's a sensitive subject for me.
You notice she dates guys named Peter Quill.
Yeah, Quill, wasn't she? Yeah.
Yes.
Colossus, and I think Peter from
Peter Wisdom.
Peter Wisdom. Yeah.
Peter Wisdom. She dates all Peters.
Excalibur.
There you are. You in Triple G?
I'm sorry.
And remember in Ultimate Spider-Man, she dated Peter Parker for a little while in the Ultimate Universe.
Oh, I'll give her a bit of a ring. Yeah, I'll see. Yeah,
she gets about, doesn't she?
So my pick is Bridget from Once and Future. So we've talked about her briefly earlier. This is the grandmother who's basically had a life of hunting monsters, And as the series goes on, and there are spoilers here, as the series goes on, you just start to find out what an absolute badass she is, and the life she's had. You know, our kids are very much involved in the storyline, and she's sacrificed our partners and things like that. And there's one particular couple of issues where she lives in a nursing home, and the demons attack the nursing home, and it's just absolutely amazing the way they're dispatching these villains, and she's motivating the residents of this nursing home to kind of get off the Zimmer frames and attack the monsters that are attacking with lawnmowers and things like that. It's brilliant. And I just love every scene she's in. She's just absolutely crackers, and I love that about her. So yeah, I think she's a brilliant character.
Yeah, every scene she's in, you just gravitate towards her.
Yeah,
good person. Yep.
She looks so awesome in that artwork, to be fair. I think that sold me on her, definitely.
Yeah.
Tremendous. Have we mentioned everybody's there then? So we'll move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so next category is Best Female Villain. The nominees are... Should have wrote this down, shouldn't I?
Not so funny when it's on the other foot, is it?
I'll tell you the first one.
No,
wait,
don't tell him, Efren. Don't tell
you
him.
say who it is, and I'll just move my lips.
Okay, first one is Philadelphia. That's Abigail Adams. Next one on the upper right-hand side is Cheetah from DC.
Okay, and now I can take over. And then the bottom right, we've got Typhoid Mary from Daredevil. And then we've got my choice there in the left, which is Star Wars' Diva Lompop. So Diva Lompop, I know you're sat there going, who? Well, I'll tell you. She was created by Ivan Coelho and Justina Ireland. And she first appeared in the Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters Jabba the Hutt issue 1. So it's not often that you kind of witness someone having a kind of power over Jabba in the Star Wars universe. You know, Jabba is the kingpin, you know, when it comes to that world. And she kind of immediately comes onto the scene with this kind of power over him. And also kind of Boba Fett as well almost has this kind of trepidation around her and almost like a fear and respect. So you're immediately like, oh, okay, so something's going on here. And that kind of a presence and like intimidating kind of behavior is just really cool. Her design is really original. And I think it's quite hard to be original for Star Wars because so much has been done in terms of creature design and stuff. But you can see that she's kind of got this, you know, great, obviously, silhouette. But then she's got this kind of scars on her face, almost like Gamora or something, and this like feather-like hairdo, almost like a bird woman lady thing, which is cool. I don't think I've seen anything like that in Star Wars before. And bounty hunters are usually traditionally kind of like rough and ready, you know, bruisers, you know, crooks, basically. She is like a high-end... She's like a posh bird, literally. And I just find that really kind of interesting. That's a really interesting concept. So she immediately drew me in as character. I know Star Wars are going to be using her a lot more. I think if you could see her pop up in a series, then it's gonna blow wide open. So I definitely think she's one to watch.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yep.
I can talk a little bit about Abigail Adams. So she is the wife, or the ex-wife in this is the wife of President John Adams, who, as was mentioned just previously, there is the. Don't know why I did that. Like you can see the other side of the video. You know what I mean? So she's the wife of John Adams, who's the main vampire in Philadelphia. And I mean, Efren, correct us if I'm wrong. In the first graphic novel, she doesn't have much of a part to play, other than kind of being by his side and kind of supporting him a bit. And there's a bit of a strange thing with her in a sex club.
You're right. She was like a background character, you know, like behind him. But man, she just wasn't like that at the end.
No. So basically, again, spoilers. basically President Adams is dispatched at the end of the first story arc, and then Abigail really comes in to play, and she's much more vicious than her husband was. She's much more deranged. She's not interested in building anything. She just wants to tear down the world around her, really. And there's some tremendous scenes where basically she sets loose a ancient crack-ass vampire on what their version of the main singer, like the main pop star of the times on stage with thousands of people around him, and this vampire runs on stage and just rips his throat out and all the rest of it. So she's vile, absolutely vile. Pure evil, yeah. And where I'm at in the story at the moment, it's just ended, where she's basically being confronted by a dead, reborn husband. Don't know how that works. So yeah, brilliant character, pure evil. She eats up every scene in the comic she's in, so she's superb, and she's not bad to look at either, I have to say.
No, and there's another.
She needs a bib by the looks of it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you read so far, Peter, but there's another ex-president that's going to be coming around.
No, I've not read that. I've not read that.
Alexander Hamilton. Was he a president? I don't know.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you've got the Brits on, Efren. You've got the Brits on.
Just wanted to shout out all my American fans. Two of them.
So the last two are Cheetah. She this year in Wonder Woman, she started killing like all the gods, or all the Amazonians, and she just got this like killer sword, and she's just been hacking through everybody. They captured her at the end, try to reform her, but she always goes crazy, this character with her and Wonder Woman. And I think they just took it up a notch this year. And the last one is Typhoid Mary and Daredevil. She's been around for years and years and years, but she came back to the Daredevil, this whole King in Black scene with, and then she hooked up with the Kingpin as her lieutenant to Kingpin, but then they became romantically involved and they got married. She's not the same Typhoid Mary that like the split personality, but she's like a very strong individual now. But she, landed with Kingpin and is just going from there with her. I think it's a great character.
Absolutely agree. She's the definition of female empowerment, I think, in comic book characters. She's a tough bird.
Yep. I've not read anything about Typhoid Mary for years. Probably from that kind of era there where she was in the comics.
Yeah, no, she's cool.
Looking forward to picking up that Daredevil series. So there we are, ladies and gents. That's the best female villain. Please don't forget to vote on those. So back to me now. Best male villain, and our nominees are the King in Black, King Arthur, Kingpin, and Donald Blake.
Lots of kings there. I didn't realize.
All the kings.
Yeah.
So I've picked King Arthur there. So as you can see, he's not come back at his best in Once and Future. As I mentioned earlier, he's totally deranged. It's interesting as well because his personality shifts based on the beliefs of the country. So how they're viewing him, it kind of moves as well. Total nutcase, absolute racist, wants to just wipe out anybody on the planet, really.
Sounds like Boris Johnson to me.
But they've built him up in this series to be superb, and there's some really good horror scenes with him where he's on the Siege Perilous and things like that, and he's just a brilliant, really vile character. So my pick was King Arthur. Efren, who did you pick?
My pick was Noel in King in Black. The way the latest Marvel baddie, this guy was going, he's basically the king of all the Venomized. He came from the planet. I'm not sure what planet he came from, but he was like the baddie from, Dallas. I don't know how old he is, but he escaped from his prison, so to speak. And he was just taking over world by world, and he landed on Earth. And his nemesis was Eddie Brock Venom. And it just goes by there, and he was just taking over everybody, and then it just took Venom, turns out to be, the way Venom has just done like a 180 also. When he first came out, he was just pure evil. But then he just reformed. I think him hanging out with Peter Parker or Spider-Man made him see, different way of life. And he had a son, Eddie Brock, so that changed him also. And he just, I just really like this character, the evilness of him, just pure evil, no goodness, like King Arthur.
Yeah. Can I just ask, does that artwork do it for anybody? Because I think it's atrocious.
No, I didn't like it, but I like the way he was just, had his hands on the world. So that's why I picked this cover. But there's better.
Is that Peach or is it?
I don't know who it is.
Not
interesting.
Yeah. The thing is with Null, like, I just kind of wanted more and bigger. Like, I felt like the event was it was done before it even started, and I kind of felt like the build-up was so. Donny Cates did such an incredible job of kind of stretching that suspense out, and Null is coming and all of this stuff, and didn't they retcon something so that is it like an old Nova comic or something? There's like shadows in a hospital, and it turns out that those shadows were actually Null's symbiote things. Love all that, but I just I wanted more. So I actually really hope that there's a kind of round 2, so to speak, because I just thought he was dispatched a little bit too quickly, and it's a shame because I love the look of him. He's, he looks like I don't know, like a heavy metal singer or something. He's very cool, the aesthetic. And that's not how I was expecting King Arthur to look, Peter. It's like, where's the beard? So I kind of picked 2 here, but Kingpin, we've kind of covered him already, but it goes without saying, throughout the Daredevil run, he's continued to kind of be this presence. And I just love that idea that he's kind of manipulated the political system, and he's kind of, he's almost created this facade of himself now for the public. And yet we all know the true Kingpin and the true kind of desires and intentions. But at the same time, I think one of the joys of Kingpin is the kind of relatability. And I think his relationship with Typhoid Mary, I've completely bought into that. Parts of it are weirdly sweet. So I love that. Devil's Reign, whilst slightly feeling like just a rehashed Civil War with the Superhero Registration Act, I'm still really interested to see where it goes in terms of kind of Kingpin and his character. My main pick, though, has to go to Donald Blake from the Prey run in Thor. So this is Donald Blake in the bottom right. And you might be thinking, wait, Donald Blake was a meek, blonde, doctor. And what they've basically done is this amazing kind of 360 turn on the character. And Donny Cates has kind of did a really good job, I think, because I never really got the whole tap of the stick and he becomes Thor. Like, I never really got that. I was like, is that Thor or is that a different person? And Donny Cates does a great job at re-explaining that and kind of re-establishing the mythology around that, and then kind of bringing in Donald Blake as this kind of twisted, angry, vengeful, tortured soul, rightly so, who is out for pure vengeance. And similar to Null, I just kind of wanted it longer and I wanted it more, and I didn't want him to kind of be dispatched so kind of quickly in the end. But a really kind of great villain and someone I'm looking forward to seeing again.
You see, Ben, you've again piqued my interest because, as you know, I'm a massive Thor fan, but I've kind of given up with modern Marvel, so I've not read any of the Donny Cates Thor.
Oh, no, get on it. And I know you're a big fan of Thor Rock, who may or may not make a cameo or 2.
Yeah, so. I'll have to pick that one up. Tremendous picks again, gentlemen. Some superb villains there. Really interested to see what the public go for on that one, won't it?
Ben, I have a question for you. In Donald Blake, I've read it. I don't like what they did to him at the end. I mean, he went mad because he was stuck in a certain place, and I think it was all the God's fault. And the way they ended him, I didn't like at all. I thought they should have had him. I thought they should have had more mercy for this character.
Well, they've essentially, like, they are the reason he is how he is now.
Yeah,
and because he was essentially tortured, and they're basically torturing him again now.
I know.
As a punishment.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he'll be much better than now. What a great way to reform his character.
I know. I didn't like that at all.
I mean, you really piqued my interest because I remember Donny, because we're mates. You know what I mean? Donny Blake from Old, and he was. This just looks mental compared to.
I love that design, and this was the other thing. They very quickly kind of got rid of that look, which did serve the plot because he was kind of went undercover or whatever. But I just love that deranged like hobo look.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I will pick it up. And let you know what I think. Ephraim, back to you. I think.
All right, we got best action figure, and the nominees are MODOK on the upper left-hand side. Right below him is a Sentinel. Gosh, okay. You're gonna have to say this one. I forgot who it was, Peter, on the upper right-hand side. It's from He-Man, right? Battle Cat. And the last one is the Mandalorian. I chose the Mandalorian and the Sentinels because I just like the action figures. And Sentinels has always been one of my favorite villains in X-Men lore. And the Mandalorian, because of the show Disney Plus, basically. That's why I picked those two characters.
Is it the Black Series Mandalorian or the vintage one? Like which kind of scale do you prefer?
I think
the
it's
bigger
Black
one?
Series.
Okay, yeah, they're nice and detailed.
Yeah,
I love the look of that Sentinel. What's the size like on it, Ephraim? Is it bigger?
I bought it. I don't know if you guys want
me to bring one.
I got one. You want me to bring it out?
Get it out.
All right, hang on. I'll be right back.
Okay, well, while he's getting his Sentinel, I'll have my show and tell because it's right here. So I selected the Hasbro Marvel Legends MODOK, which is just brings so much joy to me in hand. The scale of it is absolutely fantastic. He kind of engulfs everyone else on the shelf, as he rightly should, with his massive head. He's got two expressions, so they do have this one, but they also have one with like the teeth showing and stuff. Right. And the sculpt is just really phenomenal, really nice paintwork. Kind of simple, you know. They simplified it because Toy Biz did a MODOK, a Build-A-Figure MODOK a while ago, and it was quite kind of almost a bit too dark looking, you know, with the details and stuff. But this really feels like it's leaped off the pages of a comic book, and
nice.
I love it.
So two things, Ben. Three things before Ephraim shows where he's Sentinel. One, do you think Jim Carrey's going to be MODOK in the Ant-Man movie? Because that's the rumor.
I've heard another rumor that. Do you remember Yellow Jacket from back in the first film? That exact character will be a version of MODOK.
Oh, interesting.
Which is weird. But I've heard another rumor that Bill Murray is in that film.
He is. Yeah, he's publicly said he's in it, I think. So
I honestly feel like MODOK should just be a cameo or a walk on note. A fun Easter egg of some sort, you know.
Second thing, Ben, just a bit of a plug. You happen to have a video about that, don't you?
I do indeed. If you want to watch my thanks, Peter. If you want to watch my MODOK Marvel Legends review, head over to the Attention Seeking Geek and watch that. Plus, much more brilliant content.
Finally, Ben, Geek Test. What does MODOK stand for?
Mechanical organism designed only for killing.
Superb. Wow. Well, you've passed. Well done.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank God.
Ephraim, have you got something massive to show?
Yes. All right, here we go, guys.
Oh my God. This stream picks up. There it is.
Oh, wow.
So cool. Oh, I want it.
That is tremendous.
That's awesome. Quick question, Ephraim. Because I did hear a couple of complaints when they were shipped that they struggled to stand up. How is yours in terms of standing?
I have not had any problems with it standing. I have them standing. I have to make sure that it doesn't tilt. It's heavy.
Peter, grow up. That's a genuine question, all right?
So it's quite heavy. So yeah, you got to balance it, you know, so it doesn't lean over or, you know, fall off. But yeah, you know, I got this a couple months ago and it finally came in. Peter,
awesome,
tremendous. I love it.
Talk to us about this Battle Cat then. Well, what makes that stand out to the old Battle Cats?
It's massive. It's so this is based on He-Man Revelations. It's just a beautiful sculpt. It's huge. It looks mean, and it's just brilliant. I love it. But I have to say, if I'm being really honest, I think I would be voting for Sentinel. I love the look of that Sentinel.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's one of those HasLab projects. So if you don't back it before it came out, sort of thing, then it's never going on sale again. Right. So you've missed it. It's only secondary market. So I've recently ordered the Proton pack, and I'm just whilst my credit card's not thanking me, I'm happy I took the opportunity, and I'm still kicking myself that I didn't for that Sentinel.
Yeah. Is that full size Proton pack, Ben? Like cosplay type?
Full size, baby. 1-to-1.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Excellent. So again, some brilliant picks there, guys. I think we'll go. I think it'll lean towards Sentinel, if I'm honest. But some lovely figures. Is it me?
Yeah.
Best TV show?
You're up.
So, best TV show. And our nominations are Loki, Invincible, For All Mankind, and Titans. Some superb shows there. My pick was Invincible. This is obviously based on the comic book Invincible, which has concluded its run and is an amazing read if you haven't read it. This came out as a cartoon on Amazon at the start of the year, I think it was. And it's just phenomenal. The animation in it's beautiful. The storytelling's beautiful. It's tremendous. And I watched this with my son. Please don't tell child services because he's far too young to have watched this. And I obviously knew what was coming in terms of the relationship between the father and the son, and I didn't let on to my son. And when those scenes play out, have you guys seen it?
Yes,
I have. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
When that first battle plays out, my son was literally to take away. He couldn't believe what was happening. I just think it's superb. I am so pleased that they didn't hold back in any way in the gore and the violence and the battle scenes. I just think it's a superb series. I cannot wait for season 2 to come out.
Great pick.
So, Ephraim, what were your picks?
My first pick was the Titans. They're on HBO Max now, and I just like the grittiness of this TV show. It has Nightwing as the main character, and it has Starfire, and it has Logan, and it has this last season they brought in Red Hood, and I just like the grittiness of it, and they incorporated Batman into a couple of the issues too, series too, and they have Barbara Gordon on there also this season. So I just like the premise of this storyline. I mean, I think it's really, really good. They were based, I think they started in San Francisco, and then this last season they went to Gotham, because Batman left, and they're like trying to protect Gotham now.
We've only just got season 3 on Netflix, so I haven't caught up with season 3 yet.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed season 1 and 2. My only gripe, and again, my son watches this, and he's a massive cartoon Teen Titans fan. My only gripe is that Beast Boy seems to be stuck with one kind of change.
Yeah,
I'm hoping in season 3 we'll see something different, but I'm not sure.
Don't hold your breath so far. Yeah.
Have you watched that, Ben?
No. Well, I have, but I choose to no longer watch it. Yeah. You know what? I really struggle with DC TV ventures. And, obviously the Batman thing really does entice me, but I just... everyone's saying about it being gritty, but for me, it feels sometimes a bit too polished. Thing with Invincible as well, it's amazing, it's brilliant, but it's just a comic. So just read the comic. That's my only thing with having animations that are almost frame for frame, panel for panel. But, some good choices. Ephraim, you're going to have to tell me about For All Mankind, because I've never even heard of that.
I've not heard of that either.
So For All Mankind, it's season 2 just finished. Season 1 is, when the United States, when they landed on the moon, Basically, it goes from there. But first, in season 1, the Russians landed on the moon first, and then the United States was trying to catch up. And then, there's the two super nations. They're trying to, try to get a foothold on the moon. And it just shows and the characters are based on history too, actual characters that they use. And in the first season, both of them are trying to land on the moon. But they also in the series, there also has it's like a family. They show the relationships of the families that are still on Earth, and the ones like the father is on the moon, and the mother and the son are on Earth. One of the two main characters, but the son dies, right. And they can't. And the father doesn't know because they don't tell him because he's stuck in the moon by himself, and they have no way of getting him back for months on end. And he finally finds out, but he's in isolation for months with his little son that had died. That was the premise of basically season 1. Season 2 jumps like about 10 years into the future, where Russia and the United States have a foothold on the moon now. They have like a base and everything, and they're competing against each other. And then tragedy strikes, where the United States kills one of the Russians on the moon, and almost World War III starts. And it just goes from there. And then season 3 is going to jump like 10 more years, like into the 90s. And the last scene, and I just finished it yesterday. The last scene of season 2, they show like a camera, and then they're showing like zooming to the moon and going past the moon, and they show the planet Mars, and they show a footprint on Mars, and that's where season 2 ends.
Sounds interesting.
It's a really good series. I really like it because I like the dynamics of space exploration, but also they go back to humanity too, how their lives are being changed. Yeah. It's the creator said they're trying to do like a 7 series of this, like 7 seasons, going to the future. So it's really good. And they incorporate a lot of history in it too.
We'll have to check that out. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So my choice was Loki. I had to kind of throw in some kind of Marvel love in here. Now, for me, this series, I don't think it was perfect. And I'm looking forward to discussing the Hawkeye series on Peter's channel very soon, which I think has been maybe more consistent. But in terms of scale and kind of how brave this series was, I think it's absolutely incredible, because the multiverse is obviously where Marvel is kind of going now in terms of different realities, different variants of individuals, and none of that, Spider-Man No Way Home would not be possible if it wasn't for Loki kind of establishing some of that lore and some of that concept. So I think it's very brave in that sense. I think Tom Hiddleston is just embodies Loki now at this point, and they are one in the same person, I believe. And so that's a joy to watch. I think, oh God, mine's gone blank. The actor who plays Mobius.
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. I haven't liked Owen Wilson for a lot of my life, but I've fallen in love with him in this series. I just think he's just really, really great. There's cameos, there's Easter eggs absolutely galore. Like the level of kind of fan service is absolutely unbelievable. And for me, it's the third quarter of the series where we meet the various other Lokis, and classic Loki is probably played by Richard.
Yeah.
This is just absolutely, mate, it's phenomenal. And yeah, kind of basically giving us the introduction to who I think will be the next Thanos, or the person we meet is a version of that character, shall we say. And it's just a mesmerizing moment and performance. And it introduced Miss Minutes into the Marvel universe, who is now my favorite Marvel character.
I mean, I have to agree. I loved Loki, but I have to say I could watch a series with just Richard E. Grant as Loki, because I think he was absolutely.
Let's say Richard Curtis. Richard E. Grant.
You did, yes, you did. That's why
Richard Curtis wrote Love Actually, guys.
You did.
He did not appear in Loki. I mean, he might be a Loki.
He might be a Loki. Yeah, he might be. I just loved it, and I thought that end scene with Richard E. Grant, where he's using his powers to make, just superb, brilliant. Did you enjoy it, Efren?
Oh, yeah, I really enjoy this series. I just like the time variant.
Yeah.
I mean, they were picking up the Infinity Stones like they were marbles.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I go, God, how powerful are these people? It was just like, like little knickknacks for them. The Infinity Stones. They threw them away. I went, dang, that's crazy. It's a great series.
I mean, let's be honest. We could probably have done a full award show just on some of the Marvel Disney Plus shows because they've been tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And I know there's some mixed views on some of them, but I have to say I've enjoyed everything I've watched so far. I think, yeah. Excellent. Again, some brilliant picks, gents. Just encourage people to vote, and I am going to have to go and check out For All Mankind because I do like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Best movie. Who was up for this one? Is this you, Ben? I can't remember who got you.
Yeah. So the nominees for best movie are The Suicide Squad, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man: No Way Home, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Venom: Let There Be Carnage. I couldn't even say it with a straight face. I'm sorry. Do you know what? I'm going to come to you straight away, Efren, to explain yourself. Why have you included Venom?
Guys, I couldn't pick any other one. I didn't know which one to choose, to be honest with you. So I kind of threw them in there. I was going to think about Black Widow. It's like, I don't know, man. Most of them are Marvel movies. I mean, 3/4 of them are Marvel movies. They do the most movies. Then I just threw in there Venom. If anybody likes them, there's nothing. We have nothing against anybody if they like Venom. That's all I got. I haven't even seen the movie, so
let's try and be positive. Oh, brilliant!
It's a great movie.
Let's try and be positive about the film as much as we can. I do think the aesthetic of Venom is fantastic. Like the way he looks when he's kind of fully morphed, obviously minus the iconic spider on the chest and things. Yeah, I've got nothing else.
Well, I'll jump in. I don't like these movies. Probably because in my mind I've got a comic book version of Venom that I want to see on screen, and this to me is not a comic book version of Venom. But what I will say is I liked Woody Harrelson. I don't think he played a good.
The script wasn't good, but he was.
Yeah, he didn't play a comic accurate Carnage, but I liked the madness in his eyes and all the rest of it. And some of the action scenes were pretty good. But yeah, moving on.
So I picked The Suicide Squad, and I think Peter also kind of gave some love for this one. Guys, this may now be one of my favorite movies of all time, and I know that's a big old sweeping statement. It's definitely up there in the top 10 for me. It felt like everything I want from a kind of adult comic book movie, or from a comic book movie now as an adult. It's that kind of ultra violence, but the violence is done almost as comedic slapstick in a very kind of dark humor sense of way. The character choices were just so left field by James Gunn. He's plucked like Polka Dot Man out of obscurity and made us all fall in love with him. He's essentially introduced Ratcatcher 2 from out of nowhere because she wasn't a character before, and again made us fall in love with her. King Shark, he kind of made this big child with a learning disability maybe, but we all love King Shark now. And then what he did was he redeemed certain characters from that original hell show of a film that came before. So Rick Flag kind of really got an opportunity to finally be the Rick Flag that people wanted and know. Margot Robbie, for me, just again, she, like Tom Hiddleston and Loki, she's sort of got to the point when she embodies the character now. I can't see anyone else as Harlequin other than like Tara Strong back in the day. John Cena is hilarious. Idris Elba just commands the whole show, commands the team and commands the film, I think, as well. The action sequences are just brilliant. The effects, I think, kind of come out well. I'm out of breath. I love this film.
Well, Ben, I completely agree. I went to see this with the full family, not knowing what to expect. And I agree with everything you've said. But what I would say, in addition, is it was so well done. That first, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes with the alternate team hitting the beach, of all those kind of characters and things like that. It was so unexpected, and the character choices even there were mental. I mean, the bit
Weasel
where
is a
Weasel's
standout.
tremendous. The guy who is it MVP or something? The guy whose arms come off, and he kind of his
Oh,
arms
yeah.
start slapping people.
Yeah, arm fall off boy. He's called in the comics.
And then, you know, for it to end those
TDK.
characters end as they did, it was like, what on earth is going on here? I love it. I love the film.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, Efren. Oh man.
I will now. I'll see it before we do the winner shows.
Dude, you're gonna have the ride of your life. Honestly, it's hilarious. Yeah,
it's brilliant. It is brilliant.
I don't want to give anything more away because I think it's that shock factor that kind of adds to those. It's almost like the shocks in themselves are kind of funny moments as well. So yeah.
So the other two films we've got there, Shang-Chi and Spider-Man, I love both of them. So Efren, which one do you want to talk about? And I'll talk about the other.
I'll talk about Shang-Chi. I wasn't expecting much from this movie, to be honest with you, you know, but when I seen it, I go, this is a great movie. You know, I just like the way they build characters. I like the humor that Marvel puts in their movies. It's not, they don't take it so seriously. Aquafina, his sidekick, I liked her character, and I just thought it was a great movie overall. You know, I give it a thumbs up. You know, I like the way they continued the Marvel, you know, movies. And obviously at the beginning of the movie when they had what was that character from the Hulk?
Abomination.
When he showed up, I thought it was cool. And Wong, when they were fighting in that ring, I just like the way, you know, the premise of this movie. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I saw the pictures and loved it. Then came out and heard lots of people saying negative things about it. So thought, oh, maybe I've got the wrong end of the stick. So I recently rewatched it on Disney Plus, and it's a cracking film. It really is. I don't know. It's got great humor, great action. I apologize. I can't remember the main actor's name, but he is superb in it. Absolutely superb. They redeemed the Mandarin a little bit. Yeah. I just really liked it, and I liked the fantasy element at the end. I liked the dragons. Interested to see where that goes next.
Yep, good series, good movie.
I think he called Simao, the actor. He like had no real acting history. Like he'd done like modeling and adverts and stuff like that. So to come in and really kind of be a leading man, you know, and someone that you want to see again, you know, I just think is incredible. But yeah, the stunts and everything, it just, the whole thing felt like a love note to those old martial art films. You know, the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of love scene with his parents and things was just brilliant. It felt like a really solid back in the day Marvel film, you know, like one that we used to get, you know, in that first wave.
That's not necessarily attached to 100 other films you need to know about. You
know, you've obviously got the Wong and little seeds of being placed, but it's they're only there if you're looking for them. The one thing, or my favorite thing about the film, spoiler warning, is that we get the return of the amazing Trevor Slattery.
The bit where the flying hairy cushion thing thinks he's dead. Anyway, just acting, mate. It's all right.
So every line had me rolling, and no one else was laughing in the cinema, and I was rolling around.
Brilliant. So then, my pick is Spider-Man: No Way Home. If you want to know what we thought about it, go and check out the spoiler video on my channel, which we did just the other night with the chaps on screen. I'm not going to spoil much about it because I'm not sure when this video is going to go out. Lovely, tremendous film. Hit all the notes for me. Like I say, I'm not going to go into detail, but it was everything I'd hoped it would be and more. I just loved it. Really, really enjoyed it. And again, a bit like Shang-Chi, really, it's left us excited to see where we'll go next. I'm excited to see what happens with all of these characters and how they tie into other stuff. So yeah, amazing film.
Yep, agree 100%. Great movie.
Yeah, as I said on your show, nostalgia porn.
Yeah. So there we are, chaps. I nearly said 3 great movies. in Venom. So be interested to see which way the people vote on this one. Please remember, guys, to vote. And I think that was the last category, Ephraim.
Yeah, that was it. Yes. Yeah.
So shall I bring that down? Just to encourage people to check out the voting system. I shall remove that. Stick that back on.
Cool. Yeah, guys, this was so much fun. Originally this was, I thought of the idea, but we all collaborated with this video. We just we did our own inputs, and I'm glad, we brought Ben into this because it just added more to it. I'm so glad you came, Ben. Honestly, man, it added so much.
I mean, the video probably would have been an hour shorter if I wasn't there.
I have to say, Ephraim, I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and it's been really interesting. And I think for me, one of the big takeaways for me is I've learned a bit of other stories and books that I probably wouldn't have picked up before that I'm going to go away and have a look at.
Yes.
I'm really interested to see what happens in our awards show. So I know you've got that planned for a month or two's time when this video goes out.
Say that again?
The award show. So
the award show. Yes, the winners. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it in about a month. We'll put it out on, you can leave comments here on YouTube, and we'll have it on Instagram too. So we're just going to tally whoever wins. Congratulations.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I think that's it, guys. Do you have anything else to say?
No, just thank you very much for inviting me, Ephraim. Always a pleasure working with you. I'm looking forward to doing some other stuff in the future.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it, mate. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And Ben, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It was fun.
Been a joy. I've really enjoyed my strawberry and kiwi flavored water as well throughout the stream.
So there should be some kind of awards show after party now, Ephraim, isn't there, where we'll get like a goodie bag and things, and there's all kinds of stuff goes on.
I'll send it to you guys.
Brilliant. And I can snog Scarlett Johansson or something. Yeah, let's do it.
I think she's busy, Ben.
My wife heard that.
Right. Well, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
Catch you in a bit.
Yeah. Everybody be safe and take care.
See you soon, guys.
Yeah.